Welcome back to another episode of the Premier League Rundown, and we'll get straight into it. The first game of the weekend was on Friday night, Fulham versus Wolves. Fulham high flying, sixth in the league. Wolves trying to get out of that relegation battle, and it's a pretty even game, which would probably benefit Wolves a bit more. They want to be competing with the better teams, and they have probably competed with teams this season, but just haven't been able to get the results. And this was another one of them games where they were in control. That Fulham never really attacked that much in the game. They were kind of in control of the game. Like Fulham had possession at times, but they were never really able to do anything with it. And Wolves conceded later on. They got their goal through Sarabia at first of all. Very much needed goal because they are so bad at creating chances, and they get into good areas, but they just don't know what to do when they get into the final third. Even the new signs of Cunha and Sarabia, you thought, oh, maybe they'll create chances, but might not be able to finish them off. They still can't really create that many chances. And yeah, so they got the goal through Sarabia, which is really good for them. But then late on, Solomon with the goal, great goal for Fulham. And yeah, he's had a really good last few games, last 3 games, 3 goals, and he looks the real quality, and you can tell why he was highly rated. And just thinking over the weekend that Shakhtar had Mudryk, Solomon, Neres, Tete all in their team. That's a bit mad, but yeah, Solomon looks really good. I think it's time to start embedding him into team a little bit. He's been slow again into team, and I think they need to start getting into more because you can tell he's just another quality to some of the players in the squad. Like he's like really, really quality and has really high potential as well. He's still very young, but yeah, I think it would both be fine with a draw. Fulham since the World Cup have been really good. 7 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. They would take a result against Wolves. Wolves can be dangerous on a day, so you always take a result, and it keeps them sixth as well. So European places are still up for grabs for them. But the bad thing is João Paulinho is suspended for their games against Arsenal and Brentford. They're massive games for them. So that's a massive miss for them. He's so good. He's so important. It shows what a team can be with playing that position, because that position I think is the most important part on the pitch because it connects to attack and midfield and defence all together. And it will be a massive miss for that game. But yeah, Wolves, they're still battling in around the 15th in the league. They're 3 points off the relegation spot, so they've still got a little bit of buffer, but not that much. And I think that win was going to be so important for them, but wasn't meant to be, and they couldn't see out the game. Next game we'll go on to Everton Aston Villa. So, bad game for Everton. They played decently well. They had their chances in the game. Goal line clearance from Mings. Pickford had a goal line clearance of his own, but they had a couple of chances for headers and stuff, and nothing real quality. And then they gave the penalty away. It's a contentious penalty. Some angles it looks like he gets the ball, but he might have got for the man first. So was it clear on other mistakes? Maybe not. But Ollie Watkins put the penalty away, and he's been so good under Unai Emery. He's been given that faith, and since Unai Emery came in, it's 12 games, 7 goals, 2 assists, and he scored for the 5th straight game as well. So he's been really, really well, and it just shows that bringing in that Danny Ings just really slowed his development because he can be a top quality player. But yeah, good signs for Everton that they're competing against these teams maybe, because there's 2 wins and 2 losses under Dyche, so I think they would have took that really. Honestly, 6 points from 12 against Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa and Leeds. You'd probably take 6 points from 12. I think you probably thought it would be against Aston Villa and Leeds, but I think 6 points from 12 was quite good. They looked decent. They gave up the chances. They created a few chances. They did look a bit more threatening than Villa in the game, but they couldn't get the result. Yeah, but Villa, they're just scoring under Emery. They've been really good attacking wise under him. They've been very bad defensively recently, but attacking wise, it's in the 13 games he's played, they've scored in every single game, so they're always a threat going forwards. And now they have 3 games against Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Bournemouth, 3 winnable games. Could that see them maybe go higher in the table? We'll see. But now for Everton, massive games against Arsenal and Forest now. Away games, back-to-back away games. Dyche has had a few games at home to start things off. Now he goes away, see what he can do against Nottingham Forest and Arsenal, especially that Nottingham Forest game. Massive game in a relegation battle. And yeah, they're still in the relegation now, so now Everton, so they really want to get out of that because it might just be a point or so, but it's the factor of being in that relegation zone. Not nice, but moving on. Team that definitely not in the relegation zone is Arsenal when they beat Leicester 1-0 in the game that they didn't really do much, to be honest. It was a very weird game because Leicester against Man United, they came out so fast, so quick, attacking, pressing high. It caused them to concede 3 goals and be very, very open at the back. They came out, could have took the chances and could have gone 1 or 2-0 up. In this game, they put so many men behind the ball that it was just inactual up front against 2 or 3 players, and they were never able to get any attacks going. I know some of it was a quality issue at points, but they sat so deep with so many players. It worked to an extent that Arsenal didn't get many chances, and the chance they did get was straight after half time, which probably should have been focusing a bit more, but really, really weird from Brendan Rodgers. He doesn't usually do that. So it might have been a bit surprised by Arsenal that they had to deal with this. But they dealt with it. They got the goal disallowed, rightly so, I think, because Ben White was just holding onto him. You can't grab a keeper's wrist like that. You just can't. And yeah, without Nketiah having the Leandro Trossard up front, but he got the assist for Martinez's goal. Good finish by him. He needed that goal. Back-to-back games with a goal now. He went 8 games without a goal beforehand, so back in scoring ways. But Leicester had no creativity in that side. Without Maddison, they are so lost. They have 1 shot on goal. 1. They are so lost without Maddison in a creative sense. Because if you look at their players, Harvey Barnes, Tete and Nacho, they can be creative, but they prefer to score. Barnes as a scorer. Their midfield of Pratt and Didi and Dewsbury is box to box. Pratt, I don't really know what he is. He's not really either. Indeed, he's a ball winner. Their fullbacks, Christensen and Castagna, not really. They're just fullbacks. They're not great at anything. So yeah, there's not really anything there to create. So without Maddison, there's not really much there. And off the bench, Tielemans, he's leaving on a free. They really need him to be really good, but he doesn't really want to play him now because he's leaving. But yeah, the substitutions haven't been really good, effective. You think bringing Jamie Vardy, Daka, Samare, Tielemans, Pereira off the bench would affect the game quite well, but it really didn't. They really couldn't get anything, and Arsenal held out well. They didn't come under any pressure at all. Leicester did put them under pressure, but Arsenal probably should have had a penalty as well because Harry Souttar just bundled over Saka, and apparently that's not a penalty. But yeah, Leicester now 3 points off relegation, so they're back in it. They had them back-to-back games against Villa and Spurs, where you get 4 goals. You go, this is the start of a new thing. We've got Iheanacho playing really well, getting the goals, getting the assists as well. Tete coming in, bringing balance on that right hand side. Maddison, one of the best players in the league. And then they got beat 3-0 against Man United, and one of those, I don't know, it's really good teams, but you expect more from this Leicester. This Leicester side has so much quality in it as well. But now they're just 3 points off relegation, and you go, they now come back the other way. It's a very strange season that Leicester having now. Now the next game is Southampton, winnable game, but if they're not careful, they can be very close to relegation again, and you don't want to be in that battle because it's usually the teams that aren't. It's usually these kind of teams that don't think they're in the relegation battle and they're suddenly going to get relegated because they're just not. Their mind is not wired to that. They've never thought about relegation. Now they're thinking about relegation, they're overdoing things, and suddenly they're relegated. So very close, very big game now against Southampton because it can put them 6 points clear of relegation. So it gives a bit of a breathing room. Now, if they lose and the people gain points and it's 1 or 2 or maybe 3 points, still, it's not good for the mindset of Leicester City right now. But Arsenal, on the other hand, they didn't extend the lead, but they kept the lead at the top over City. Still got that game in hand coming up against Everton, so that they should be winning that, but they did what they need to do away at King Power Stadium. They did what they needed to do. Next game, another big game in the relegation battle, Leeds versus Southampton, and Leeds finally won a game, and it's their first game under Javi Garcia. They actually played quite well, Leeds. They there wasn't anything different really under what we saw under Jesse Marsh. Maybe a bit more control and possession in the game. It wasn't, you know, lump it forward at times that we saw, or just like play it into space and all go forward. It was a bit more possession based, and they contained Southampton quite well. They contained their counter attacks quite well. Southampton didn't really have many chances in the game. That's maybe the quality of the players Southampton had. El Yunusi and Armstrong on the wings. There wasn't really much quality there. But Leeds started them quite well. They got forward. They didn't really have much creativity themselves, to be honest. They really struggle in that creative sense. McKennie and Adams are not passers, are they at all? Aronson really struggling recently. He had a bright start. He's energetic, but that final quality, that final ball, he's really missing. And you can tell he's really struggling in the Premier League. The physicality of it as well. He'll go into players and he'll find gaps, but he'll get shrugged off, and he's really struggling. Nonto and Harrison, they're more forward. They're not more like, what am I trying to say? Players looking to score rather than create. And Bamford, he's still really struggling this season, but they didn't have any creativity. But Junior Ferber stepped up. He was really good in this game. He got forward more often. It was a bit weird that Marsh was playing Stroud there the whole season. Like, Ferber has qualities that can be needed. Like Stroud, if you're trying to play a asymmetric style that moves to a three back in possession, Stroud's there. You got that back three that creates, but he didn't do that. And Stroud was a guy getting forward. But if you want the player to get forward, put Ferber on. I know defensively he's not that great, but he showed us in this game he can be a game winner. He got the goal, and they finally won. There was 10 games without a win for Leeds, out the relegation zone. Really good start for them under new manager. That Ellen Road as well. I thought, Southampton, they didn't look bad, but they were quite bad. Like, Leeds weren't great either, but they still weren't great as well. I thought the midfield of Ward Prowse and Lavia did well. I think they complemented each other quite well. Lavia, you can tell he has really quality on them. And I thought Belicocha did well, but it's still wide areas of Armstrong and El Yunusi combined with the new strike force. It's still a new strike force for Lamina and Onuachu, so it's going to take a while to get used to it. Yeah, they really lack creativity when it's not from a set piece, don't they? And that's why they're in relegation battle. And big games coming up, they can't get out of the relegation zone with a win anymore. So I think they probably will get relegated. I know I like Sellers. It kind of has that bond with the players, but yeah, I think they'll probably get relegated now. Moving on to that have got out of relegation zone now is West Ham. 4-0 against Forest. Who would have thunk that? After their performance against Spurs last week. I mean, it should have been 1-0 down probably because they got lucky that the penalty didn't get given against Brennan Johnson. But yeah, it all happened in the second half. And guess what? It's happened because Lucas Paqueta got higher up the pitch. If you look at my video, Paqueta is not getting higher up the pitch. Check out the video on West Ham, I'll give you all the stats behind it, but Paqueta was just not getting higher up the pitch. He was always the deepest player. He finally played the midfield three of Souček, Rice and Paqueta, and guess what? It worked. It really worked. I can't believe it always took this long to do it, but very solid midfield performance. Rice, Souček, Paqueta, you got everything you kind of want in the midfield. You got Rice, you can do everything. Paqueta on the ball, really good. Souček can play defensively, can make them runs into the box. Not the greatest on the ball, but Rice and Paqueta kind of make up for that. And yeah, good performance. Ings gets the first 2 goals. Good performance by him. They need that option. Skamaka's out injured. Antonio's in that form where he just doesn't score for ages. He did score in this game, to be fair. But yeah, Ings very good. Amazing goal by Declan Rice. Really good performance. He's so good, and he'll be so vital to their form right now. And Europe is coming up for them, so getting out the relegation zone is really important. You don't want to be in that relegation zone and in Europe. But it's only 2 points, so how much does that really affect them when they do start these European games? But yeah, it's going to be a struggle for them to balance Europe and the relegation battle. It's hard enough to do it, and the Europe battle to get into Europe again. But what does he, if he starts struggling in the league but doing well in Europe? What does he sacrifice Europe to stay in the league? Don't know. But Forest, away from home, they are a completely different team. In the Premier League, away from home this season, they played 12, won once, drawn 3 times, lost 8, scored 3 goals, conceded 29. 3 goals in 12 away games. Terrible. They do a bit of a buffer to the relegation zone, which is a bit nice for them, but they've got a big game against Everton next, and just some of their signings I just don't get. Like, you're starting John Joe Shelby and Chris Wood. Like, what? Why? Jack Colback as well. Like, you signed Keylor Navas and Felipe, but you're starting Jack Colback. Well, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, just... I think they're just rotating too much to the styles and the teams, and it's a very strange team Nottingham Forest have conducted themselves when you're starting Keylor Navas and Jack Colback. Never thought I'd say them two playing on the same team together. Weird. Really weird. Like, what last year, 2022, like, Donnarumma was... Not Donnarumma, Navas was playing for PSG in the Champions League, and Jack Colback was about to get relegated with Nottingham Forest before Steve Cooper came in. Weird times, but yeah, they have a bit of a buffer again to the relegation, so they shouldn't really think about it yet, but not a very good few games, 3 games without win, but against City and that, so not that bad, but they're better than the other teams, and it's just defensively, they can be stripped apart, and against a team that's battling relegation, so you thought there'd be better performance, but they really didn't turn up at all, especially that second half, really poor second half. Move on to the next game. City, Bournemouth, routine for City. Not much to talk about this game. City, routine. Foden looked really good for the first time in a while. He's been really poor, especially since the World Cup. It's like really bad, just stagnating performances. So 1 goal, 1 assist, really good for him. 6 games in a row without a clean sheet for City. Is that a bit worrying, maybe? Especially they're still playing. It's like Bournemouth. You expect them to maybe to keep a clean sheet against them, but wasn't to be. They changed their approach play. They didn't play Bernardo Silva in this game, so maybe a bit more solid, but they're still conceding chances in these games where they didn't really used to last season. Like last season, they'll just get through these games without any fuss, but there's a bit of fuss in these games. I know they went a few goals up, so it doesn't really matter, but 6 games without a clean sheet isn't nothing, especially for City. Bournemouth, they just didn't have the quality. They just don't have the quality to compete with City. Like 4-1, it's gonna happen, isn't it? I thought Traore did well. Lerma did well. They got the goal. It doesn't get any better than they're now playing Arsenal and Liverpool. Still in a relegation zone, so they probably will get relegated along with Southampton. But they had spirited performance. They had players that can, get them out of the relegation zone. Like Traore is good, Sensei's good, Lerma's decent, Billing's decent, but ultimately, you're never going to be able to beat Man City with Bournemouth, really, are you? Especially, like, the quality is just too far different to hold them out for 90 minutes, but us score goals. And the goals were, like, scruffy as well, some of them, so a bit unlucky in that sense, but routine for City, wasn't it? Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 0. It's just a bad quality game. This weekend's Premier League was not the highest quality Premier League football you ever see. This game was especially bad. No team could sustain any attack whatsoever. Like, Liverpool had that little bit at the start of the second half, but that was about it. Liverpool looked so different to the team that was last season. It's a bit mad, and they lost 5-2 in midweek. But it's just... They just so lack intensity or energy that you're used to a Jurgen Klopp side. I think the problem is they've been so front foot for so many years that the players just got so used to a style of play. And now they've backed off a bit because Klopp realised he was doing that and they were just getting cut through time and time again. So he's gone a bit pragmatic. And you're seeing these players are not used to that style. And they're really struggling with it, being under pressure at the back at times. And you see that with Trent. He gives away the ball so many times in his own box now. He nearly gave them 2 goals to start with. Mateta missing both because that's Mateta. He tried to round Alisson or he just couldn't get the shot, and he hit the crossbar as well. But good performance by Crystal Palace, especially if he's playing the Liverpool side. Good performance, but they just shut them out. Liverpool, that bit of second half, they hit the bar, a couple of other chances, get the Gakpo chance at the end. But the midfield of Naby Keita, Jordan Henderson, James Milner, like, what is that midfield? That's not a midfield to start a Premier League game for Liverpool, is it? Like, seriously, that is such a bad midfield. Like, just start by Cecic. Who cares about James Milner and Naby Keita anymore? Just keep playing by Cecic. Fabinho looks a complete... Like, he was on the pitch, 20 minutes? He could have got sent off. He's getting bypassed easily every game. I don't know why Fabio Carvalho's not playing minutes. I don't know why Curtis Jones not getting minutes. Like, you're not going to be winning these games. Just start playing these young players, start developing these players. But I think the problem is they have players now for a possession-based team. They're not a possession-based team. They play quick counter-pressing football, and that's not what Klopp style play possession-based. I know they keep possession, but it's not for this kind of possession for possession's sake at times. They want to play quick. And that's what it was against Newcastle, but yeah, this game, it was kind of a bit of a stalemate. No real quality at the end. Yeah, Crystal Palace had the chance to score, Liverpool had the chance to score, but neither did. But 8 games without a win for Crystal Palace now. 5 draws, 3 losses, so and only 5 goals, so they're probably in front of goal. They're really bad. But they're all against teams in the top 9 in the league. So I think you take that, 5 points in 8 games against the top 9 in the league. And they're now 12th in the league. A bit safe to relegation, 6 points off relegation, so they've got that buffer, but not been great, going forward. With Elise, he's just so much better than every other player in their team, but when you got Mateta, Schlupp, Ayew, with them, the chances falling to them, chances are they're not going to be able to do anything with them. And they won't. They just won't. So Liverpool count themselves lucky that they really lack quality in that forward area. And Liverpool now sits 7th. They're 2 games in hand on Fulham, so they can catch them up. They're 3 points off Fulham, but do you count them to catch up? Maybe not. They're a point ahead of Brighton, but Brighton got a game in hand on them. So they're also just a point ahead of Brentford, same game as them. So there's chances they can still get into top 4 with a run, but I really don't see it. These performances are just really bad. Like, even they beat Newcastle, still a really bad performance. They could have easily drew that game. But yeah, we'll talk about another team that was in them cup finals last season, but a complete drop of the season. Chelsea lost 2-0. Not really surprised anymore, is it? Chelsea losing or not winning games. Just not a Champions League quality game from either team, is it really? Tottenham or Chelsea. Tottenham are in a Champions League place now, but not real quality. Spurs had their moments in the game. They got their goal. Skip a really good goal. Bad keeping by Kepa. They should really be saying that. Got their goal from the corner as well. The one midfield battle, really, I thought, Skip and Højbjerg, with their energy really worked. I don't think Enzo or Loftus-Cheek did really well in that midfield. But yeah, they've won 4 of the last 5 games now. Spurs 4 clean sheets, so they're getting better defensively. The performances aren't there to maybe warrant get any further than top 4, or like you see them win 10 of the next 15 games or so. So 15 games left of the season. So they've got 14 games left of the season. You can't really see them win like 10 games to challenge for a second or third. I don't think you can see that in this team. But they're getting better results than what was before. So, albeit against the Chelsea side that looked so bad. In the last 15 games, 2 wins, 4 draws, 9 losses, 6 goals scored, 16 in against. They're just not improving, and the players are getting worse. Like, Mudryk had that really bright spell against Liverpool, and ever since he's been really, really bad. Enzo Fernandez is not really improving. He just is stagnating at midfield. I don't know why he's not playing Badiashile. Like, just play Badiashile and Thiago Silva, Badiashile, Fofana. Maybe he's getting Koulibaly ready for the Champions League, but why not? Why are you playing Koulibaly? Just don't play Koulibaly. What are you doing? Yeah, it seems the more João Felix as well. It's amazing, João Felix. You see moments of him where you go, he's worth £100 million, and you go, and in the same move you go, that's why he's not at Atletico Madrid right now, and on loan to Chelsea. Like it, it's not it's not good for Chelsea right now. They have no end quality with them. Their players don't know how to play with each other. Their players don't seem to know what they're doing tactically. It's a very big mess. If this was Abramovich, Potter would been sacked about 4 times probably by now. But Bowley's different. He's going to probably keep patience with him. But is that the right thing at this point? Probably. But it's not looking great. It really is not looking great for Potter right now in Chelsea. They look really bad. And they had the excuses before of injuries, Sterling, Chilwell, Fofana, Reece James. They're all back now and he's still not winning games. They're still not winning games. They're still not scoring goals. They're really, really struggling right now. And I don't know. Like, it could be just some games it clicks. It all clicks together and they start going and 5 or 6 games unbeaten, keeping 3 or 4 clean sheets and scoring a few goals. But they just don't look like scoring goals. They just look like conceding goals. It's not good for them right now, and we're in the league. They're 10th in the league, level on points with Aston Villa. They can't even move up with a win, so they're stuck in 10th. So the European football, I think, is out of the question for them right now, unless they start picking up form. But it's just in attack they are so bad, like really bad in attack. But yeah, they now got home games against Leeds and Dortmund. They have to beat Leeds. They have to. They played really bad away from home against them early in the season, but they have to beat Leeds at home. I can't think of any other reason they can't. But Dortmund, you can lose that. Dortmund have been really good this year. And then Leicester, they've got winnable games coming up in the Premier League. Leicester, Everton, Aston Villa, Wolves. You've got to pick up out of Leeds, Leicester, Everton, Aston Villa, Wolves. You've got to pick up minimum 9 points. Minimum 9 points if you want even the hope of European football. And 3 of them are at home as well. You're away to Leicester and Wolves. You've got to be picking up these points now. You've got a nice stretch. You've had a struggle recently. You've got to start picking up results. I know Thiago Silva might be out, Aspilicueta's out, but you've got all the squad, you've got all the players. You've got to start picking up these points against the smaller teams. But yeah, that's the Premier League this week. Check out my video on the Carabao Cup final where Man United won a trophy. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.